Customizing your PC's lighting effects when using different applications can be difficult. To make things easy, we created the TT Sync controller.
Hey everybody, Thermaltake, and we're back here talking about the TT Sync controller. Now the TT Sync controller is the perfect add-on for your TT RGB Plus ecosystem. It allows you to plug up to 9 separate devices into this one controller. So if you're plugging in, say for example, Ring Plus fans, you can populate all 9 ports with Ring Plus fans, and then there's an additional port on here to plug in a PWM cable. Now of course to power this you'll need one serial ATA power connector, and then there's also a data port connection here that syncs it up with the motherboard. We're working with select motherboards from Asus, Gigabyte, and MSI that support a 5-volt RGB LED header out, so that way you can connect this up and get it all synced up with one single software. So first we're going to go take a look here at Asus's offerings for their motherboards and see what the lighting features have to offer. I have here a ROG Crosshair 7 Hero Wi-Fi Edition motherboard running off the X470 chipset. Now I've gone ahead and I've pre-connected the PWM cable to one of the headers on the motherboard so I can control the fan speeds in the BIOS. Next I'll take the data cable, noting that this is cable C, corresponding to the markings on the connector with the connector itself on the motherboard located here. Now this is the 5-volt LED header out in regards to the 12-volt that's right next to it. For the sync controller, we're going to be using the 5-volt LED header, and you just want to match up the markings on the connector to the motherboard like so. Now I've gone ahead and I've pre-installed the Aura Sync software already to my system. Once launching the Aura software, I have the option to be able to select a variety of different LED modes. Of course, by default, they have their famous Rainbow Aura Sync mode, and then we can select options like Flash and Dash. Clicking Apply will change everything instantly that's connected up to the sync controller, as well as the lighting effects on the motherboard, because everything's set to sync all. They also have some other unique features like glowing yo-yo that gives a nice subtle effect, or going with something more like a strobing effect where everything gives you a variety of brightness, and then be able to change the color options for what you want across the board for everything thanks to the TT controller. I have here our Aorus Gaming 7 Wi-Fi Gigabyte motherboard running the X470 chipset. Now this board's a little different from other configurations. I have already pre-configured and connected my PWM cable to support my fans off of my Flow AIO. And then you'll notice here on the Gigabyte board, they have a different connector which has a label VDG. And this is the 5-volt next to their 12-volt header, which is their 12-volt RGBW connector they have here for 12 volt. Now with the sync controller, I'm going to be using cable number D for the data connection, as this one is the VDG cable connector for the Aorus motherboard. Now I've also been talking with Gigabyte closely, and they may be changing the actual header connector, but it will be changing over to cable C if they do so. So if you get the TT Sync controller now, you should have both cables in the box to make it easy to connect it up, regardless if they change it. Now to connect this up, I'll just take the VDG connector here and plug it in corresponding with the layout on the board. So as I plug this in, flipped over, everything should sync right up once I have the connector for the data cable plugged in. Now I've gone ahead and pre-installed the App Center application from Gigabyte. And one thing to mention when running the App Center is after I've installed the Aorus App Center itself, I also need to install the secondary module, which is the RGB Fusion software. Once the RGB Fusion software is installed, it will come up with this main menu. And then I have a variety of basic options here, like you see with the color that I have on the motherboard. But we're going to go into the advanced options here and dive in a little deeper on some of the new modes. Now with this, you'll see all the different zones and areas to be able to set your lighting separately or together. And one of the things I really like about this is as I've gone over to advanced, it's already preset to profile A, which I pre-configured with this mode. And then I can cycle through my profiles fairly quickly by going from A to B, changing over to like a green color with a different type of animation, or going over to C option to be able to have something very colorful. Now with these, I want to go ahead and select, I can click the digital LED and you'll see a variety of different mode options available that you can select as they label these modes A, B, C, and so on, as well as some of their standard modes up here. And these are the mode options that are available from Gigabyte with their new RGB Fusion software. Now with our MSI Gaming M7 X470 chipset, we've gone ahead and we've hooked up our PWM cable for our fan support to be controlled in the BIOS. And then we have our data cable or sync cable here, noting that this is cable C in reference to the compatibility with MSI. You'll also see the pinout location listed here on the connector, as well as on JRainbow1 header shown here in the lower right corner. And connecting it up is just as easy as plugging in your power connections for your case by just taking this and connecting it directly to the header, just like so. Now I've pre-installed the Mystic Light software from MSI, and I always encourage to make sure you get the correct version for the motherboard you have so you have proper support. Once the software is up and installed, I'm going to go under my sync profile, I'm going to select individual, and then for my device setting with the motherboard selected, I will click the settings option here. Once clicking the settings option is going to take me to a separate window where you'll see I have options for profiles as well as the LED area. As shown, we've connected to the JRainbow1, which is the 5-volt RGB LED header, and then with that we have our lighting effect down here showing the default color ring option. Going through a couple of different features like double meteor gives a nice cool little effect, definitely something different that you won't see on a TT product straight out of the box, but with the sync controller it adds a nice add-on for being able to do even more with one application. Link and sync like never before with the Thermaltake TT Sync controller. And if you want to learn more, visit our website at thermaltakeusa.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you didn't, and definitely join in on the conversation by dropping a comment down below. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have. And again, my name is Thermal Mike, and we'll catch you in the next video.